Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today I'm sharing a full review of the curriculum I talked about in my 2025-2026 pick videos. I'm wording it that way instead of saying what we use this year because realistically, not everything went according to plan. There's some things we didn't end up using at all and other things we didn't continue with. So I'm actually using those original videos as my guide to make sure I cover everything, especially the things that didn't work, because those are the things that are easiest for me to forget. All right, let's start with a little bit of background information. This is our 5th year homeschooling and our 4th grade year. I'll start with our ELA subjects because that's how I had them grouped in my video. So starting with handwriting, we used Zahner Bloser for cursive. This worked really well for us. I mean, honestly, I don't have a whole lot to say about it. It's simple, it's effective. We will definitely be continuing it. This was mostly cursive. There was some manuscript, like regular penmanship in here, but for the most part, it was cursive. For poetry, we started with Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. After that, we went into A Light in the Attic, also Shel. And currently, we're in Falling Up, and this will be wrapped up shortly. My daughter loves this author, and poetry was a big win for us this year. All right, let's talk about literature. Okay, so this subject might have been our biggest struggle of the year. This is where things didn't really go as planned. We had a list of books we intended to read, but the reality is we didn't finish a single one of those books. We started multiple books. Some planned, some not. And it just felt very scattered. After really reflecting on it, I think it was a combination of things. Illnesses, unexpected workloads on my end, but also a mindset issue. Because I've always made literature a really cozy, enjoyable time. We have snacks, we work on something like a Ruby Reads poster, and I think unintentionally, that made it feel less important. So when our schedule got tight, it was the first thing to go. On top of that, we just didn't love some of the book choices that we made. Instead of sticking with books we were enjoying, we would stop to switch to something more seasonally appropriate, which ended up not working out for us. So here's how it actually went. We started with the Swiss Family Robinson, did not enjoy it at all. We switched to Pax, which we enjoyed what we read, but we read very little of it, so we didn't finish it. And then we moved to Vanderbeekers because it was around Christmas time and I wanted it to tie into Christmas. We couldn't get into that book at all. And at that point, we took a break from literature completely. Then there's those that we never even got to that we planned. For example, Holes, The Power of Poppy Pendle, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and The Hobbit. I'm not going to give up hope on these though, and we might try to work these in next year depending on how much time we have left over what I already have planned out. Currently, we're ending the year with James and the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl, and this has been our big win. We're more than halfway through. We're working on our Ruby Reads poster. I will put a clip in of what that poster is looking like, how it's shaping up. And it's definitely our biggest success in this category. And next year, I definitely will be approaching literature differently. Okay, grammar and writing. So for grammar and writing, we used EIW. This continues to be a solid, reliable curriculum for us. It didn't disappoint this year, just like every other year. Here's a little bit of what those lessons end up looking like. We also added in writing and rhetoric this year. This has been more of a slow burn for us, but I actually really like that about it. It's not something we rush through. I love that it focuses on fables. It naturally brings in character lessons and discussions, so it ends up being more than just writing. Then we got spelling. So this year we've used spelling connections. This is our second or third year using spelling connections, another solid program. She gets a lot out of the word study approach that they follow. I especially like the built-in editing piece, and this is a part of every unit, so every week, because there's one unit per week. That being said, if you saw my April odds and ends video, you know that I'm adding in another spelling component to be more intentional with multisyllabic words. I'm still experimenting with what that will look like, but I'm getting close to a plan for next year. This spelling notebook is what goes with her, currently with her spelling connections. She'll get her list of words, and there's rules on how you have to sort them, and so she uses her notebook to sort them based on whatever the rule is. And then at the end of the week she flips her book and I test her on anywhere between 8 and 10 words to see which she, what she mastered, what she needs work on. And Mega Words is our new edition that I just talked about. All right, for reading, we used All About Reading level 4 and honestly breezed through most of it. There was a point in the first 3/4 of the lessons that felt too easy. I questioned whether or not we needed to continue, but because she loves the activity so much, she wanted to keep doing it. So we just stuck with it. And I'm actually glad we did, because once we hit things like ents words and ants words, it became more challenging and then worthwhile. And so yeah, this is the last volume. So after this, there'll be no more All About Reading next year. And this was something that was in my curriculum picks for 2025-2026, but we didn't actually end up getting to it. And last but not least, for this subject grouping, we have vocabulary. And so we use 365 words for clever kids. We really enjoy this. Most of the time she would use this book alongside her notebook, where she would capture the word, part of speech, and the definition. But there were sometimes we would just do it verbally, and we would just discuss the word and talk about the word of speech, and she would read to me the definition. I have to say, at first, one of the things that I didn't like about this book is it didn't have the part of speech. But to be honest with you, I think it's benefiting her that it doesn't have the part of speech, because as we discuss the words, I'll ask her, like, well, what part of speech do you think it is? Is it, modifying a noun, or, is it a descriptive word? Is it an action word? And as we talk through it, she's able to, a lot of times, identify the part of speech on her own instead of just copying it from the book. And so that actually has turned out to be quite the benefit. I don't know. I think next year, some of the books that we have already has the parts of speech in there, and then others don't. And I'm not going to remove anything that we already have planned out just because it does. I have found it very beneficial that she kind of has to figure that out on her own with this book and the setup. Okay, So we're gonna move into our STEM subjects. So this is gonna cover math, typing, science, and nature study. So for math, we use Math with Confidence Level 4. This is another tried and true for us. It worked great this year, no complaints. We already have the next level ready to go for next year. For typing, we use Type C. I don't have a visual to put on the desk for you, but I will try to pop something up on the screen. It works well, no real complaints. I mean, maybe it could be a little bit more engaging, but it gets the job done. I heard that The Good and the Beautiful is releasing an online typing program this summer, so I'm planning to look into that. I'm also considering their paper version because I think there's value in learning to type while reading from a physical sheet. Okay, for science. Science was another struggle this year. We started with Studies Weekly, and I really wanted it to work. I think part of that was me projecting a bit. It felt nostalgic to me, like those old Scholastic flyers. The curriculum itself is great. Colorful, informative, with short review questions and a weekly wrap-up. None of it seemed too complex, but for some reason, it completely overwhelmed her. And to make matters worse, I chose the same format for social studies. So once she had a negative reaction to it, it affected both subjects. I even tried alternating weeks, so science one week, social studies the next. But by that point, the format itself was a trigger to her. So as soon as she saw the newsletter come out, her growth mindset just went out the window. This is what the newsletters typically looked like. Sometimes on the back they would have areas to write as well. There was worksheets, nothing too crazy, but yeah, I think maybe trying to do both subjects in a week, like I think that overwhelmed her, and all together it was just overwhelming, and I think that's kind of what set it off. But anyways, we switched to 180 days of science, just to finish out the school year and so we can stay aligned with our state standards. We also did some home science kit boxes for experiments. Those are, just good, fun, hands-on learning. It's not a full curriculum, but super helpful and easy, and since everything's included in the box, and then you can get some hands-on activities done. Okay, and to wrap up this subject block, we have nature study. So for nature study, we use Seasons Afield by Beautiful Feet Books, and we love this curriculum. This is labeled K through 3, so it's technically a bit young for her, but in all honesty, for us, nature study is really a more interest-led subject. It's something she wanted to continue doing as she got older, and we really lean into that, and we don't treat it as a high-pressure academic subject. It's a time to slow down, connect with each other, connect with nature, and really tap into creativity. And this curriculum checks all those boxes. It's stunning visually. I mean, it has everything laid out. It's very easy to follow. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. This is the main reader in it, but it also suggests a ton of readers that are amazing visually and message-wise. Just stunning. And then this is the other main book that you would use, the watercoloring. And this is her notebook. So these are some of the things we've journaled from it. These are like natural dyes. Awesome, awesome curriculum. One of my favorites. This brings us to our last group of subjects that will cover culture, character, and life skills. Starting with social studies. As I mentioned earlier, studies weekly did not work for us here either. It's the same setup as science. You have your newsletter. We would always highlight the vocab words. And she would have her article assessments. As I mentioned, in science, it's just 3 questions, nothing too complex, but yeah, just didn't work for her. So we switched to Piney Forest. This has been working really well for us. It's a much better fit. She really likes it, so we're finishing the year with this. And I think it's just easier for her to follow. Maybe it's just not so busy, but she just took to this format much better. We also leaned heavily into field trips to support what we're learning, and that ended up being a huge success. It actually really lit a fire in me to incorporate even more of that next year. All right, for history, we were using Curiosity Chronicles Ancient History. And honestly, it was going really well, but we stopped for 2 main reasons. One, we're going to be circling back to the ancients in 6th grade, so it just felt unnecessary to continue. And then 2, our social studies is heavily California history, so we basically were doing 2 history blocks. So dropping it just gave us more breathing room and allowed us to focus on our state history. Okay, so for art, we use Artistic Pursuits, and we love this curriculum. For me personally, it lost a little bit of its spark when we stopped doing ancient history since they aligned. But then again, at the same time, she's still getting some exposure to ancient history through art. So, I mean, I guess it kind of balanced out. So you can see they tie each lesson into ancient history. All right, let's talk about Spanish. Spanish. This subject. The subject is complex. So we use 2 Spanish curriculums. See It, Say It, Flip Flop Spanish, and Getting Started with Spanish. And I have to say, we genuinely love both of these curriculums. We love them. The issues that I have with them, it's not even that I have an issue with the curriculum. There are just things that I feel like we need to round out our Spanish learning block. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But first, let's talk a little bit about these 2 curriculums. So our current rhythm is we do flip-flop Spanish Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because the way it's structured is you do a lesson. Let me kind of show you what a lesson looks like. Okay, so like for lesson 1, you would pull these cards, and then they give you a look ahead for cards you would need for lesson 2, so you can just kind of always be prepared. And I love that. I honestly love this curriculum. Like, we've been using it for a while now, and she's learned a ton. So you have your cards for your lesson. and you listen to the audio for this lesson. And then on day 2, you do the lesson again. And then on day 3, you do it without the audio. It's just you as the teacher and the student naming the cards and saying the cards in Spanish. And you're using whatever cards you pull for the lesson, but essentially they look like this, right? So they're looking at the image side, and then if they flip-flop it, you have it spelled out in Spanish, you have the pronunciation, you have it in English, and then this bar is to help you know what group of cards it's in. So for example, for this lesson, lesson 1, all the cards that I needed were green and 1 was blue. So this kind of tells you that these are the blue cards, these are the green cards, and then there's red cards. Super easy, really easy to implement. Love this curriculum. Cannot say enough good things about this curriculum. We added in this year getting started with Spanish. And the reason we added this in is because it's a little bit more leans towards the learning to read and write Spanish, where you definitely can learn with flip-flop. In fact, you're often taking your cards and arranging them in sentences, and then you can copy down the sentences as you progress through, different grade levels. But I just like the way that this was structured a little bit better when it came to reading and writing Spanish. So, and it's super gentle. I mean, it starts you off so slow. So doing them together has not been an issue. I mean, there are some lessons as we get higher up that are a little bit more intensive. We've been getting into some more intensive stuff. But I mean, it literally starts you with like, this is lesson 1. Just learning about what articles are. And then lesson 2 goes over gender. Lesson 3 goes over L, the word the. So, I mean, and then so we would read this, and then I would have her in her book write down L. What, this isn't that, but she would write down whatever the word is and then what it is in English, and just go through and capture whatever the lesson was. And so that's how we've been using this, and also working great. Love this curriculum. The two of them together, really love the curriculum. I love that she can open this up and read these to me and then translate them to me. I mean, because right now, I think we're on 37, 38. So, we're starting to learn plurals. And so she can go in and read these all to me and translate them. And it's great. Now, here's where my issue is. And I probably realized this was an issue far too late in the game. So that's totally on me. But neither curriculum really covers the basics. And when I say the basics, I mean like the alphabet. I mean like the most basic of basic. And for some reason that really felt like a place we should start. Now, we're knee deep in Spanish, but I still think she needs to phonetically understand the alphabet, especially because English is phonetically crazy. I mean, the different rules and everything that goes into that. But Spanish is pretty phonetically accurate. Like, the vowels make the vowel sounds, and it's not, it makes this sound if it's, written this way, or it makes this sound if there's a sign. It's like the vowel sounds are the vowel sounds. So I feel like it would be really easy for her to grasp starting there. Okay, so with that in mind, I got this beast, Homeschool Languages. This is level 1, again, because I really wanted that foundation, and I wanted something structured that I can just kind of go through and check off, as we go, like that lays the alphabet down, colors. Now, flip-flop has colors in it, but it's still kind of, like very quickly gone over. I have a feeling that it's as if you should have learned that stuff before you started flip-flop, maybe is what it is. So we got this. I knew it was a bit young, but that was intentional. I thought I would go through it and pick out the, cover the basics and just kind of hodgepodge it together. And if there was something too babyish, we would skip it. Like, I played the first song for her and she was like, yeah, no, Mom, like, that's, no, don't, I'm not doing that. And I said, okay, fair enough. I get it. But unfortunately, this did not work for us at all. The quality of the curriculum is stunning. I love the box. I love the quality of everything. I'll say that. I love the little stickers that you mark. This is kind of like All About Sailing, where you mark the lessons that you do. The quality of everything is really nice. I mean, you have a motion spinner, you have board games. I mean, this is really this is really thick and durable. Ooh, I wonder, I might have to find a way to bleep that out. I don't know if YouTube will flag me for that. You have a box full of the flashcards, little game pieces. This is Alberto, the puppet. All your books are in this one book, your readers. There's a little globe inflatable. Bingo cards, some matching stuff. So the quality of this stuff is amazing. I'll say that. I'll give them huge props for that. And honestly, like, I think maybe for younger kids, honestly, maybe this isn't even an issue. Maybe it was because I was having to alter it so much because she's older that it just made it an issue. But what was happening is the lessons are just very much all over the place. And the pacing, introducing the basics, was like far too slow for where we were. I mean, I think it introduced, well, first you just get red. That's all you get. It's like not like you get all the colors, you just get red. And the numbers, it was like you get 1, 2, 3, and you're not introduced more numbers until, later on. It just didn't work for us. But also trying to go through and make sense of the order of everything, it was not laid out in a way that my brain digested easily. So for now, we're sticking with flip-flop and getting started. We're not changing those. And I still need to figure out how I want to intentionally incorporate the foundational skills. So I have an idea. I'm going to work through it, and I'll have an update video for you in the future on that. All right. Last but not least, we're going to talk about some of the things we did for life skills. Okay. So for life skills, I had this book. We didn't get to this. So I'm going to go through this and see if it's something that would still be relatable for next year. Otherwise, it is what it is. Care and Keeping of You 1. We're still slowly working through this. No complaints. It's giving her good information that she needs as she starts to mature. Growth Mindset. We really like this one. Again, slowly working through this. A lot of our life skill stuff are Friday. That's when our block is on Friday. And so we slowly work through this stuff. And we actually usually continue to do this stuff during the summer too. But yeah, Fridays are like our lighter days when it comes to lessons. Heart and Mind. This is her favorite by far. She absolutely loves this workbook. I have the Usborne Cooking. That was working well, but we're going to move towards something more structured next year. And I sold that at a yard sale, so another family can benefit from it. And then Your Business Math series, Simply Charlotte Mason, Pet Store Student Kit. We started this, didn't finish it. I think we're going to save this for next year. She was really excited about it, and then life just got busy. So, I mean, we only got as far as her starting to do the supply catalog, and then creating she was creating like signs and stuff for it, like working on her marketing for it. And that's really as far as we got. Well, those are all the same thing. But yeah, this seems like it's going to be an awesome curriculum. We just going to have to do it next year. And that's everything. I mean, I don't know how long this video is going to end up being after editing and some of my rants. If you have any questions about anything, especially if it's something that I kind of glossed over, like the stuff that's going really well. Oh my goodness, that's not going to fit. Just let me know in the comments. The reason I did that on some, which maybe I shouldn't, but like things like EIW, Math with Confidence, we've been using those curriculums for years now. And so I feel like I've said everything that could ever be said in my other videos. And now it's kind of just like, I feel like I'm just constantly repeating myself. But that's going to make me crazy. So yeah. If you have any questions, let me know. Drop them in the comments. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.